probably have to buy out my buddies on that one, but as long as they don't freaking, one of them's going to try to really get me for it, little bastard. My dude.
Oh,
he's gonna be like, no.
Oh, I'm doing it again.
this fucking guy.
If you ask me,
There's no tags I can read.
Yeah, no. Well, none of this will make in this part right here, but it'll be.
Have you heard of 4chan? They will find us. We're trying to make it as hard as possible.
4chan. I haven't heard of 4chan since I was in college.
That's because they do everything they can and not exist. Bro, honestly, some of the most like...
What is 4chan? I've only ever heard of it.
It's disgusting.
It's... Okay, so 4chan is like so low-tech forums that... Like the most popular forum there is the politics forum, where you can literally talk about anything and everything politics from anywhere in the world.
It's like black market forums. Yeah, like black market Reddit.
It's not quite like actual
on the verge.
Dark web stuff.
It's close.
It's like Reddit on crack.
Because the FBI like monitors it a lot. It is like Reddit with no moderation though.
How much do you pack this?
Want to pack it for you?
You don't want to pack it too tight because you want air to be able to flow through.
That's it.
But anyways, dude, the best 4chan thing I've seen was when they kept on tracking down Shia LaBeouf's flag and kept on ripping it down. Shia LaBeouf kept on hanging up this flag that was like anti-Trump.
Uh-huh.
And I don't even know if it was like a pro-Trump.
Shia
4chan.
was?
Yeah, Shia was. I don't know if it was
like him a lot.
He's pretty fucking out there.
I know he's anyway.
I like him. I like some of the things he's done. I'm still jury's out on whether or not I like him as a person.
I'll present a couple movies to you. I don't know if this is off topic, but then see what you think.
He's definitely, I'm pretty sure, admitted to beating domestic violence. Like he's gone to court and admitted to it. I think he's gotten the help and recovered.
But the movie that he made while he was in that recovery is outstanding.
That's the one where he plays his dad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do want to watch that movie.
It's great.
Okay, Brian, shut the up.
I'm so sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry.
I'm trying to talk about, God, Lord have mercy on me.
Shia LaBeouf.
Oh, flag, yeah. Shia LaBeouf was putting this flag up of like, he will not divide us. That's what it kept on saying. He will not divide us. And he hung it up in like...
He did.
Chicago somewhere on a live stream. And that's all the live stream was this flag saying he will not divide us. People found it, tore it down. The Shia LaBeouf was like, all right, I'm going to like hide it harder. Dude, it got to the point where they fucking like Shia LaBeouf put it in a cabin in the woods on a live stream. And 4chan used like the audio from the live stream. They used the window to track the time of day and latency of the live stream. And someone got there and tore it down. Like off the cabin wall. You don't fuck with 4chan, dog. Like 4chan will find you. 4chan will do whatever they want.
Sounds like a bumper sticker. 4chan will find you.
Bro, I try to not. My biggest thing is trying to make sure 4chan doesn't like pick me up on its airwaves. You know what I mean? I don't want 4chan to know anything about me because they will find us.
That's crazy.
And I love when people use that stuff for good. Like whatever it might be. Like what's the hacker group?
Which one?
Is it called Anonymous?
Anonymous is kind of like Joel from The Last of Us, dude. They've done things where they've been the good guy and we've rooted for him. They've done things where they've been the bad guy and we're like, what the f*** are you doing?
Oh yeah, no, I'm not saying like these things out there. Like I think that there's dark underbellies to it. Did you need this? No, I'm good. You got that tamp there. I might need it a little bit. But the things that have like 4chan, whatever, things that are anonymous that really can be used for all sorts of bad stuff. But then like every once in a while they just the people do something. All the people decide that's not how it's going to be, and that's not okay, and then they deal with it. I like that. I think that's fun. I like that. And I have no idea how to do any of the stuff they do, so it also kind of
I mean, I also like really don't know really how to do what they do. I know a little bit from the idea of like being an everyday man disruptor. Like there's tools out there that essentially you can get and easily conceal into your backpack that will allow you to hack into just about, and I say hack, it's not really hack, it's brute force. You brute force your way into just about any Wi-Fi. A lot of they're called pineapples, and they really do essentially just, from what I understand, could be totally wrong here, but from what I've read online, they just try the basic admin stored universal for manual passwords and usernames to get into routers.
Really?
Because the 99.99999% of the time you haven't eliminated the admin account from your Wi-Fi router.
Oh, like going to 192.168 kind of admin.
Like you have to go out of your way on the Xfinity website to turn off the admin standard thing.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Like, and if you don't turn that off, anyone who has access to the basic Xfinity manual can just sign in, and like they can't hack all of your devices, right? They can hack whatever's they can like see whatever's connected to the router using the Wi-Fi, and they can try to like get into those devices. That's a lot harder. But like the getting into Wi-Fi is so easy when you have the right tools. And if you have simply a 5 gigabyte storage device plugged into one of these pineapples with every username and password combo that comes standard on these manuals, likely it is you can always get free Wi-Fi. So like things like that, like those are like the everyday hacking stuff that I know about. I don't have, but I know of it. I don't know the first lick of like what Anonymous has done or 4chan has done to really get access to actual clearance level, like stuff like people get hired out of Anonymous to work as contractors for the Department of Defense because they hack into the Pentagon.
Like, hey, you've done a really good job. You want to go to prison or do you want to work for us?
Speaking of which, you guys ever heard of Cicada 3301?
No.
Oh my gosh. Are you guys for real?
For real. I know what a cicada is.
Dude, I'm about to take you guys down a f***ing journey, man, because Cicada 3301 was such a big part of like my youth of trying to find it.
Find what?
Cicada 3301.
The mystery. I love it.
For those of you who are listening in, welcome to Mick Pat Show. Our guest from our Brews and Reviews has returned. He had enough fun. Welcome, Brian.
I haven't left.
Yeah, Brian.
What?
Yeah. You're the first person to get that, dog.
Amazing.
All right, don't overdo it.
Did you just... Was it stored?
Yeah.
Amazing.
But Brian's here with us as we're sitting down, just having a good old time. Appreciate to our kin out there who are listening in. I'll tell you this. Before I dive into Cicada 3301, this week has been the first week where I've had, the like odd celebrity feeling almost a little bit, like where I had like so many like inner circle people reference things in our podcast that I was like, what the f*** are you talking about?
And they just walk up to you and start talking.
How'd you know that about me?
No, not even that. They're just like, oh yeah, dude, like XYZ, and you made this joke, and Pat made this joke, and oh man, I was like, my sides were splitting in my car.
That's pretty cool.
And I was just like, did I actually say that?
I know, right? You forget about all the stuff you say.
Some people are actually listening.
Maybe we need to censor this shit some more.
Who you are.
I had a little bit of crisis like that today while I was driving down the road, in the same thing where it's exciting, and then the other side of it, I was like, not that I necessarily believe or think that however far this thing may or may not go
will actually be important.
Yeah, all I did know is all of a sudden I was like, everything we've said on here could be heard by the whole world. Not in like a exciting way, but just being like, technically it's possible. We uploaded it to the internet. We said it, and we stuck it on the internet, and it's out there now. And not
how easy it is to find you. I mean, I literally opened Spotify, I typed Pat Mick as one word.
Huh.
And then It popped up.
Really?
All right, really? We're at that level?
We're getting
Patnick.
Dude, I remember when I first searched it on Google, it did not come up.
I searched it in the wrong order.
That's exciting.
I love that. I'll tell you
at
this.
First you had to type out, if you didn't have the ampersand, you weren't getting to it.
I am more petrified of my Google search history from ninth grade than probably not ninth grade. I don't think I looked at a lot of porn ninth grade. More terrified of my Google search history junior year of high school than I am what people hear from this. I'll tell you that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, but still, I'm just saying.
I feel totally fine when people.
All right.
Here's the thing, though. It was pretty funny. Someone came up and they're like, "Oh, dude, yeah, your bit about your physical therapist knowing his jizz," and like you and Pat
His
joking
what?
about that. His jizz. It's a bit. I didn't mean to say it. In a previous episode, I had my speech impediment going on, right? And I meant to say my physical therapist knows his shiz. But I said jizz. Or I almost said jizz, whatever. But anyways, we were just riffing off of that. And like, I don't think you or I thought 2 seconds about it. We just kept on rolling. We chuckled. And dude, several people have now come to be like, that was so funny.
Well,
and I was just like, that's what they remember? Yeah. But it was funny enough that I actually told my physical therapist, I'm like, bro, I mentioned you in our podcast. You should listen to this. I made a little bit. And
He's gonna know who you're talking about too.
it was my last visit at the physical therapist. So
because he roasted one of the employees there a little bit, just
a little bit. Just like I feel less safe in your hands.
Clearly not a sound engineer over there. Just cranking.
Hey guys, I'm trying to tighten the mic.
His microphone.
Use the keying to mute me when I'm making corrections over here.
I just want to say these chairs. Hold on, just for the audience here.
Yeah.
I don't think they've ever heard that before, but yeah,
that was the
Yeah,
thick
that's-
leather
they're pretty
chairs.
farty chairs. They're very farty.
But they look regal. They have the little buttons.
They're
little
cute.
gold buttons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, this podcast still isn't about anything at all other than hanging out, talking about whatever comes to our minds and whatever brings a smile to our face and whatever we enjoy brainstorming with one another. Sometimes, honestly, it's just Pat and I putting words to the ideas and the thoughts and the questions we have and just putting it out there for someone else to chime in and learn from each other. But all that said, we appreciate you all coming in and listening, hopping in with us. Brian, appreciate you taking the time out of your week to come and hang out. It's always a pleasure to get time with you, man. And with that, time to get into something completely not important, but is fucking awesome and like kind of conspiracy shit right here. You guys
The
ready?
music's kind of great for it.
Oh, dude. Hey, oh my gosh. Brian, I love you, man. Thank you for mentioning that. If you love our music, we just switched. We were using royalty-free music from Lo-Fi Girl. Many of you probably know. You probably studied with Lo-Fi Girl when you were in college. Great music there. It's from a bunch of different musicians. But we've officially switched to White Bat Audio. White Bat Audio, based out of Toronto, Canada, if I remember correctly. Single musician, single artist. He is incredibly talented, and he specializes in like the, like Terminator, 80s, Miami Vice, synthwave stuff.
Kind of Stranger Things-ish.
Very Stranger Things-ish. But like a lot of it is very inspired by like the horror movies of the 80s, the action movies of the 80s, the sci-fi movies. And he's super talented, especially when you look him up on SoundCloud. And his music, his whole discography, royalty free, is only like $30 Canadian. So please check him out.
It's like $3,000 American, right?
I think no. It's like $25. I think it's a steal. I think White Bat is really talented, especially for a musician out there who's letting people use his music royalty free when they buy it.
White Bat, not to be confused of the scrotal maneuver called the bat.
Yeah, dude, I performed the White Bat not too long ago, actually.
The
It requires a little bit of spryness. You got to have flexible knee joints and an elastic scrotum. I encourage you. I encourage you to be eating a lot of collagen so your skin is at its most dexterous, because you can't half-ass the white bat.
Half-ass the white bat.
By that, I literally mean like your white bat needs to be as wide as your ass.
Now,
I think my grandparents are listening to this too by now. I hope they're not.
A friend of mine explained the auto white bat, which is like where you use no hands. It just sticks.
The auto. Wow, that's incredible.
You're just talking about literally
it's
testicular skin sticking to your thigh.
Yeah, from sweat, and you just like
the bat wings go up. It's funny because like for women, bat wings literally just means like, you know,
the Oprah
saggy triceps.
Yeah.
I hope my wife never listens to this.
Dude, I hope she listens to it tomorrow, dog.
She probably will.
I'll tell you this. There's so much freedom in like speaking here, laughing, having a good time, not feeling like bad about what you say, and then other people coming up to you and be like, dude, that was funny. And like, or even like come to you like, yeah, what the are you talking about? And it's just kind of
let
like,
me show you. Oh wait, no.
Like I immediately have like a mini panic attack when people mention they listen to the podcast, and I'm just like, oh, well, it's out there. Guess I should be over it by now.
That's what I was saying earlier, man. It's crazy.
Okay,
that's why you do this, right?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, the real truth, the reason why Pat and I do this is because one time we were around a campfire telling stories, and we realized we were the only two talking, and then someone else said, you guys should do a podcast. And I was like, you know, I've always wanted to do one. And then Pat said, weird enough, I have all this stuff in a studio waiting for someone to do it with. And I was just like, we weren't even that good of friends at the time. We were just, I would say, like, becoming friends. You know, our friendship was blossoming. Yeah. And I was just like, okay, well, we'll see. Right. We'll see. And then I followed up with it. I was like, hey, man, do you want to do that podcast thing? That would be fun. Let's try it. And here we are.
Here it is.
About $3,000 sunk into it. Maybe more by now. Probably more by now.
Like $3,000 in pizza.
Yeah.
White bat and all.
Oh, yeah.
White bat and all. Okay, guys. I want to tell you about Cicada 3301 so bad because I want you guys to be in disbelief. Cicada 3301 is a nickname given to 3 sets of puzzles under the name 3301. They were online between 2012 and 2014. The first puzzle started on January 4th, 2012 on 4chan and ran for nearly a month. The second round began 1 year later on January 4th, 2013, and the third round following the confirmation of a fresh clue posted on Twitter on January 4th, 2014. The third puzzle is yet to be solved. It's not solved yet, guys.
What?
Wow.
Yeah. The stated intent was to recruit intelligent individuals by presenting a series of puzzles to be solved. No new puzzles were published on January 4th, 2015. A new clue was posted on on Twitter on January 5th, 2016. Cicada 3301 posted their last verified open PGP signed message in April 2017, denying the validity of any unsigned puzzle. The puzzles focused heavily on data security, cryptography, steganography, that's a hard word for me to say, and internet anonymity. There we go.
It's really fast.
Guys, hey, here's the thing. I don't mean this as slang. Kind of retarded. Okay. All right. It has been called the most elaborate and mysterious list. No, if you mean it medically, it's all right. It has been called. Someone just shit themselves.
That was the chair.
Okay.
That was the chair.
It has been called the most elaborate and mysterious puzzle on the internet age. And is listed as one of the top 5 eeriest unsolved mysteries of the internet by the Washington Post. Many have speculated that the puzzles are a recruitment tool for the NSA, CIA, MI6, or Masonic conspiracy, or a cyber mercenary group. Others have stated Cicada 3301 is an alternate reality game in ARG, although no company or individual has attempted to monetize it. So, anyways, all that said, there have been examples of people who were solving these puzzles and in these forums online, and then they go cold. As if when they solved them, they were brought into the inner circle.
Oh, whoa, hold on. This is a twist.
So the third puzzle
like
has
into a black site or brought into the club.
no one knows because the third puzzle has like the first puzzle was solved. People posted solutions.
So it's like the entry exam.
Well, imagine a puzzle's online.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All of us are on Reddit
Yep.
or Facebook or whatever. And as we're solving the puzzle, someone's like, "Hey, I solved it," and we're like, "Oh, how?" And someone's like, "Hey, here's the solution. Here's what I did." And we're like, "Oh, no, that doesn't work because X, Y, Z." And that person's like, "Oh shit!" And all of us are playing this game together, working together to solve this online puzzle that's using like real geographical coordinates, real like actual network written code available to be viewed online. You know, all you have to do is press F12 to see how it's written on the web page in Google Chrome. And we all work for it, and like the answers live online of how to solve puzzle 1.
Right.
But then exactly a year later, puzzle 2 comes out, and we're all like, "Oh shit, yeah, let's do it." We start working on puzzle 2. We've known each other because we've worked on puzzle 1 for the last year.
It's like Knives Out.
Yeah, maybe we solved puzzle 1 6 months ago, but we've helped other people solve puzzle 1 without spoiling it for them. And but none of us know who put puzzle 1 up.
Mm-hmm.
And then puzzle 2 comes out. We do the same thing. 2 years so far.
Yeah.
Puzzle 3 comes out. As we're working to solve it, Brian just stops responding one day. Brian never responds with anything ever again on any other clues on how to solve puzzle 3. Pat goes silent. Mick goes silent. People who we've looked to in the community to solve these puzzles go silent. People who, in theory,
This is really happening.
yeah, in theory, the best we can understand, these people solved the puzzle, and upon solving it, they were given an offer good enough that deterred them from posting a solution.
Did they know that they were given an offer? Is that
We don't know.
that's like the theory?
I mean, the idea that they're just being killed because they solved the puzzle doesn't make a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you spend 3 years investing and developing and finding?
I mean,
these
it seems
people?
like a recruitment.
Exactly. And that's why it feels like a recruitment. But Cicada 3301, I love it. I think it's cool. There's a lot of awesome stuff that like you can look up online and follow like essentially like stories, YouTube followings of how Cicada 3301 ran.
What's the puzzle? Let's solve it.
I don't think we have the skills.
I mean,
I can't remember what the first puzzle was. I remember I was following it when I had just graduated high school. I was looking into it because I was like a year behind the game.
yeah.
I mean, it took a while before it got popular, right? It took a while before it was on everyone's lips of like
right.
Cicada 3301.
Yeah.
It is called Cicada though because the image associated with the puzzles is a cicada with its wings spread open. So, all that said, anyways, I think it's one of the coolest things on the internet, coolest internet stories. I don't believe it's like a malicious thing. I do believe it is a recruitment tool, and whoever's been doing it, it's been a prestigious enough offer upon solving puzzle 3 that it is. I mean, think of anything like there's nothing. There's Roswell, Area 51, JFK assassination. None of those things have had good enough rewards to keep people from claiming, you know, I was there, I saw the insides, I know how that thing works.
So this is huge rewards.
Yeah, whatever Cicada 3301 is promising outweighs the glory of solving it and letting people know you solved it. And when you think of that from an internet bragging point, especially on 4chan, it's got to be fucking good.
Because eventually someone would come along who couldn't be bought, you know. But
maybe,
but so far it hasn't happened. Meaning it's got to be, you know.
Yeah,
that's what's interesting to me is like, yeah, why hasn't that person come along that couldn't be bought?
Because it's that fucking good, dude.
I don't know. That's just crazy to me.
Part of me thinks the only way it could be that good.
Well, like, tell me paint a picture. Like,
as someone who's a contractor for the government,
yeah,
right? Like I work for a company that works for the government.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The government has a lot of money. They have a lot of resources. I cannot imagine someone having the anonymity on the internet solving these puzzles and the government doing an offer that is competitive enough that I would never come out with a solution to the puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
So part of me believes that it has to be an independent party, independent of governments, that is a independent hacking organization that truly, like, once you solve it, opens the doors to you and like, hey, you can be a part of the group now. But it's such a prestigious merit that, like, if you were to go out and try to propose the solution and share the solution to Puzzle 3, it would devoid the value we have as an anonymous entity with no government. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so all that said, like, this is all theory. This is all conjecture.
Puzzle.
Yeah. So what happens is when you solve it, Bobby Fischer and Tupac show up at your house, and you're like,
and Elvis is driving the car.
Whoa! I knew it.
Yeah.
They're like, don't tell.
There's people have said it's QAnon. People have said they do a lot of illegal shit, and like there's been tons of rumors. People have said it was a cult. Many people asserted that the puzzles were an introduction to occult principles and possibly even recruitment for a cult. Conspiracy theorist Tim Daly, a former senior research fellow of the Conservative Christian Family Research Council, analyzed Cicada 3301 puzzles and stated the enigmatic Cicada 3301 appears to be drawing participants inexorably. How do you say that word? Inexorably? There we go. Into the dark web of the occult a la Blavatsky and Crowley. At the heart of the enchantment is the counterfeit promise of ultimate meaning through self-divination.
Weird.
To me, I don't think that is a good enough explanation. I don't think that works well. I don't think you can really get to the point of self-divinization just by solving a puzzle. I think like maybe the group is so capable and powerful in its hacking prowess that they do just think of themselves as maybe like amongst the internet as divine, beyond the limits of anyone to catch them. But I can't imagine that being enough to keep someone like if you think of yourself as intellectually divine and untouchable on the internet, you're gonna tell people about it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's the internet,
right?
Yeah, the guy who's in his mom's basement that's filled to the brim with servers. Yeah, he's gonna tell you about it.
And he's sweating because it's like 100 degrees in that room with all the computers running.
He has the 5-gallon bucket full of his bodily fluids because he hasn't left in days and days and days. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I can't think of a reason good enough to stay silent other than the fact that it must be something that people believe in.
Maybe they give him an offer he can't refuse.
It's got to be better than an offer, man. It's got to be. Think of all the people who got a great offer from the CIA and still, after they retire, sit down to talk on camera without blurring their face or their voice about the CIA.
But what I'm referencing is The Godfather.
Oh,
says I gave him an offer he couldn't refuse.
You mean like join or die?
Pretty much.
I still don't think that'd be good enough.
I'm looking at these. You can pull up the images of the puzzles.
Just a 4-piece. It's just a 4-piece puzzle to form like some chocolate lab puppies.
It's like literally a jigsaw puzzle. I don't get what's the big deal here. But when you try to assemble them, they like your brain breaks. I think you literally just kind of go crazy.
All these things interest me. Like there was a treasure hidden by a guy in New Mexico. Have you heard about this treasure?
No.
I forget the name of it. But the guy over years and years collected a big collection of valuable stuff, gold and things, and he stuck a bunch of stuff in a box and in a treasure box, and he went and hid it. And he left a poem that to solve that was with the clues to how to find it. And I don't know if someone's found it yet or not.
It's probably just in the box at the end.
It could be, but look up New Mexico treasure hunt. Okay. Because this is, I don't know if we got, for a couple days, me and my college roommates, we were talking to each other and we were like, let's go freaking find the treasure. We were like, we had Google Earth out. We had all the clues and the poem and we were trying to figure it out. And as we got into it more and more, so many people had gotten into it that it was like, you felt like it was way too late to even try.
Yeah.
And all these, and I think I want to say like some people may have died or got injured, like by trying to find it or by other treasure hunters. 'Cause like the whole treasure hunter world is a pretty like intense. It's like a little sub community.
Yeah.
It's out there.
So I mean, the first thing it says, Forrest Fenn confirms his treasure has been found.
Okay. So it's been
89-year-old Santa Fe author hid a treasure chest in the Rocky Mountains in Santa Fe, New Mexico. The guy who found it does not want his name mentioned. He's from back east. Adding that it was confirmed that from a photograph the man sent him.
$1 million. It was $1 million, right?
I think it was at least $1 million. I know.
Well, he's not even. Was it? He's not even saying. This is the interesting part. He's not even saying what it is.
Well, what it is. It was assumed.
Friendship.
It was you could be my friend.
Friends he got on the way finding the treasure.
Yeah, it's the journey.
I hope you didn't find this alone.
I'll show you my bat
treasure
wing.
is the friends you made along the way.
It's just a little like fortune cookie note that just like life's meaning is like not the mountaintop or the arrival, but it's the journey itself.
Proof that if you create a mystery around anything, people will pursue it.
But even the fact like this guy doesn't want to be found, I mean, it's just either one, they're all full of shit. That could totally be the case where it's like, but at the same time, like, I feel like these sorts of things attract people also who don't want to be known in a certain way.
Well, do you guys remember the spoof about like the silver pillar that was found during COVID out in Utah?
Yes.
It was from an artist who left it out there hoping someone would find it.
And people were like, oh, it's proof of aliens.
Yeah.
And
they're like, we found these elsewhere. And it's like, the artist is like, no.
I left it here.
I left that one right there.
I love that.
Well, I thought that was pretty sick. I always dreamed about leaving a legacy. Actually, I never dreamed about finding the treasure, and I don't know what that says about us as people.
Yeah.
But I always dreamed about, like, as a kid, I always thought, man, what if this is worth a lot of money one day, and I just keep track of where I left it, and I like make a map to it,
create a
like,
treasure map.
Yeah. And I've always just thought about that. And like, I guess maybe the idea of leaving the treasure, I don't know which one is more a delusion of grandeur. The idea of leaving a treasure that everyone will want, or the idea of being the one to find the treasure.
I think.
I know.
Yeah, I think it appeals to different people.
Yeah. Like which one appeals more to you, Pat? Finding the treasure or leaving the one that like people want? It's like leaving something people will die for.
Yeah,
because people died to find that guy's treasure in the canyon, right?
Yeah, I mean, I could.
That's what, yeah. You were saying that.
I could afford to have some extra cash in the pocket, But at the same time, I think I'd probably go with leaving something that was like just so that to have such hype and around and have people who they just want it so bad. Like I think it's kind of even think about like all the stories of pirate treasure and X marks a spot and treasure maps, and there's really only been like
those really shitty History Channel shows.
Yeah, and there's really only been like 2 cases of actual like pirate treasure. Yeah. That's it. And when you learn that, you're like surprised. You're like, wait, what are all these stories about? Then why are all these stories and lore around like all this stuff? And it's like it's because it just captures people's minds and imagination and the mystery of it and the possibility of it, and so.
Smoke break. Hey, Ken, it's Mick, and I've got something important to talk about. We all hope we never find ourselves in a self-defense situation, but life's unpredictable. Enter the National Self-Protection Plan from Attorneys on Retainer, an actual credible law firm you can put on retainer for your self-defense needs. For just $35 a month, you get national coverage in all 50 states for criminal and civil legal representation in self-defense situations, complete with a 24/7, 365 toll-free emergency line. That's real legal support when you need it most. What's in the package? Bail bonds, scene cleanup, firearm replacement, even mental health counseling. Plus, 0 fees for a laundry list of defense-related costs like expert witnesses. So support the show and get yourself some peace of mind. Click the link in our show notes or visit our sponsors page to sign up for the National Self-Protection Plan from Attorneys on Retainer.
Hey folks, Pat here. If you're like Mick and I, you're a fan of classic tales like Lonesome Dove, Blood Meridian, The Three Body Problem, and Steinbeck's East of Eden. With Audible, you can dive into these epic stories anytime, anywhere. Sign up for a free month, and your first audiobook is on the house. To start your free trial and support our show, click the link in the show notes or swing by the sponsors page on our website.
Want an awesome website for your podcast? Check out Podpage. We use it for the Mick Pat show, and it's a game changer. Set it up in minutes, no coding needed. Support the show by using our link to get started. Your podcast deserves a home as great as ours. Podpage, the one-stop solution.
If I'm remembering correctly, there was a recent story though where they found like somewhere on like millions of dollars worth of gold in like a classic pirate treasure story. Mm-hmm. They found it.
Yeah, I remember.
Is that the Canada one that the History Channel spent like seasons on with people trying to find it on that island in Canada?
Yeah. Oh, I don't. Yeah.
There's like an island somewhere up in Canada. I can't remember if it's off the coast or in one of the Great Lakes, but
I only watch that channel to fall asleep. I'm in hotel rooms.
Exactly, dude. I literally turn that TV channel on when I'm trying to fall asleep at like 12 a.m. to watch American Pickers or Forged in Fire. Dude, I love Forged in Fire though. I can't watch the History Channel that time because it'll actually get me amped
It'll
up.
Get you going. You're like, I'm gonna buy all the stuff. I'm gonna do it.
Will they kill Doug McKiddon?
I don't even have streaming. I don't even have cable or like.
Okay.
Just living
All right,
clean.
Brian, we get you live out in the boonies in a trailer.
Yeah, I live in a trailer in the middle of nowhere. It's true.
So, is that a?
It's honestly envy for me.
Yeah, so is it,
I tease it, but
is the streaming part a choice to like be away from it, or is it something you aspire to have again someday?
There's no cable running.
I guess I don't really miss it.
How'd you watch The Last of Us?
We have Starlink.
Oh hell yeah, Nux, dude. I've been thinking about doing Starlink. Is it pretty good?
Oh, it's great. Yeah.
What's it a month after you pay for the equipment?
Don't quote me on this. I think
it changes. It depends on where you are.
Oh, really?
It depends by location after you do the setup fee. But
I didn't know that. But I think we're paying like $180 a month.
Gotcha.
About that, yeah.
So is that included like paying off equipment, or did you pay the equipment full
the equipment
price?
Was separate. That was like $300 for the equipment, for the satellite
gotcha.
and the router and everything. But you own it. Unlike a lot of cable companies, you rent it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it has great service. Like we are able to stream everything. I don't really notice a difference. It's honestly faster than the coffee shop Wi-Fi.
Is there a data limit? Like you're only allowed X amount?
No.
So you just pay that $180 a month and you keep that service?
Yeah.
Do you have any outages, any downtime?
It's happened every once in a while. It's getting better because and I've noticed the difference. They're launching satellites daily.
So badass.
Yeah. I don't know if you've seen this. They launch not just one satellite, but like 15 at a time or some crazy number. And then they get up into space and they scatter and they have a way of orienting themselves. So you can actually like look up if you're outside like this summer, go outside, just stare at the stars. Mm-hmm. You can see satellite. They call them satellite trains. They're the Starlink trains, and you can watch them. These satellite trains follow each other in different directions across the sky.
Someone did the math on how long you're able.
You did the math?
I didn't. Someone did the math on how long the human eye is able to like see those under normal night sky, and how long they actually are relatively providing you signal. So like you are actually only able to perceive those for about like 2 minutes before they're beyond the ability of your eyes to pick up their light
from the reflection of the sun, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. And then but like you get 2 minutes of seeing them, but like those trains are providing you signal for about 8 hours before the next train comes by.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I realize that I'm not smart enough to know any of how you figure this out. But what I want to know is what's how much harder is it these days to launch something up into space with all the extra stuff that's going on? Like,
and there's a lot of space in space, man.
There's a lot of space in space, but it's just coming around fast.
Yeah. If you think about it, it's exponential. There's exponential amount of room in space.
Yeah.
But not around the Earth.
There is. Technically. As technology advances and our ability to send and receive signals becomes better,
we'll push it out further.
the circumference around
Layers.
the Earth gets wider and wider and wider that we can send things out to. The only issue, the true issue, is not space, it's gravity. The true issue is gravity and how far
things will start to fall in.
The further away we make something in orbit, the lighter it has to be to maintain its orbit.
Oh yeah.
And
otherwise it'll just ding.
And there becomes an overlap between two actually, don't quote me on it. The way I've heard it, one is exponential, one is linear relations, and they overlap at a point, a fulcrum, where once you pass that point, you can't get lighter, because if you get lighter, modern technology won't be strong enough to send the signal at that distance. And so certain like satellites only get so light because they can only be so far away before we can't receive their signal to Earth.
I didn't know that.
And so like there's all these like different like, you know, overlaps of like we can't go past this point yet until technology gets better. Yeah.
But I've had the same thought though. It's like, aren't things going to be like crashing into each other up there? All that. But it's like you think like the circumference of the Earth is big on its own.
What is
like
it,
the amount of
10,000?
space.
10,000? Oh no, sorry. Circumference is like way more than 10,000. I think the diameter is 10,000.
We had
I don't know, but
the last time we were talking about circumference and diameter, we were talking about a coming out of a person. And now we're talking about the Earth. And we also mixed up a circumference and diameter when we were talking about the turd.
That was you. I didn't mix it up.
Circumference of the Earth is 24, almost 25,000 miles.
That's circumference.
Diameter. So
that makes sense to me.
If you start here and I walk 10, west and end up back at the same spot, I will have walked 24,900 miles.
Wow.
So, but you expand that. What in space? It's like how far are these satellites out? They're like 5-6 miles.
I don't know. I can't speak to
whatever
it.
It is. Every time you hop further and further out, the circumference grows.
Yeah.
Exponentially.
But you got to get lighter in satellite equipment, or you have to have better thrusters to correct. It's weird, man. It's like the struggle of making like faster processing chips with smaller, but making them smaller.
Who do you ask permission to launch a satellite? Like I'd assume if you're doing it here, you got to like.
I think it's public airspace.
But like at what point is it? You know,
a lot of times the government pays you to put satellites up there. That's like kind of the weird thing is that like it's switched to the point now. It used to be the thing that the only people who had the money and the technology to put things in space were governments. Dude, governments are like, if you compare governments to private corporations put more things in space than governments do now.
Right.
You know, the tables have changed. They've turned. And now that we're kind of in this phase, it's becoming to the point where like the government is paying companies because it's cheaper than paying NASA to put something in space.
Wowie.
All that said, Starlink is sick.
It is.
I really want it because I want to live somewhere way more rural or remote.
I think it gives people the chance to be able to do that, and maintain, like, if you're like, I want to be off the grid, but not off the grid.
Every time I see a house that's rural that I debate, like, oh, you know, my wife and I could move there and live there, I always check the hex map on Starlink to make sure a hex is over it. There. Yeah. It's not everywhere. Don't be fooled, folks. Just because you get Starlink doesn't mean you'll have internet on every corner of the earth. Even in America, there's a lot of places you will not have internet still.
Yeah, and they're getting better. I mean, the goal is that they would be able to cover the entire world.
Yeah, and that's a great goal. But I just think like I think some people think Starlink is one of the things like I could be in like nowhere and have internet.
Yeah. Check that coverage map.
Check the coverage map for sure.
Yeah.
It literally exists to keep you in coverage.
Yeah.
And I think if I remember correctly, right now there's still more square mileage even in the US that's not covered than covered. And that just shows how difficult it is to send these signals.
And I'm sure they sent the satellites that are intentionally to make this happen, but over New Year, or not New Year's, what holiday was it? Anyway, they did a live broadcast from Antarctica. The Starlink folks did like a whole live thing where they're in Antarctica and posted it. I was just like, I'm on Facebook Live. What up?
Oh, wow.
No.
It's pretty cool.
So
Doing a live sale. So this is crazy. I don't mean to bring this back, but this is going to blow your mind. So satellites orbit between 1,200 miles up to 22,000 miles from Earth, from sea level.
Wow. That's nuts. Well, I mean, if you think like atmosphere, though.
Yeah.
Atmosphere is what, like 100 miles above water, like above ocean level?
I don't know. Let's look. Atmosphere.
it's probably less than that even.
12 kilometers. So, why? I don't want kilometers. 30,000 feet. It's 5.6 miles.
Wow.
To the edge of the atmosphere.
Dude. I thought it was more than that.
Yeah. It's like where like commercial jets get up to sometimes, or like
on the edge.
They're like getting up there.
Bro, put that in. What was the first one? 22,000 satellites are away from us? From
no.
Surface of Earth?
From it's between 1,200 miles to 22,000 miles is where satellites exist.
That's the furthest is 22,000?
Yeah.
How far is the moon?
From 360,000 miles.
I mean, a little over.
Yeah, the only reason I know is because there's a song that says it, but yeah.
Well, that song is wrong, but
yeah,
you're a little over.
330,000.
No, 2 over still. What do you think, Pat?
230,000.
You're closer.
I have no idea.
230 is under.
230 is under.
220.
If 230 was under, 220 is under.
That's the beer.
Those guys went that far in that little shuttle, huh?
238,000, almost 239,000 miles.
Wow.
Is the moon. So when you think about it, satellites are way...
And the moon is technically a satellite.
Well, yeah, it's a orbiting body.
Yeah, massive satellite.
All right, here's the thing that I'm most excited for, that I hope we see in our lifetime.
Okay.
Other than,
solving the third puzzle
of Cicada 3301. Now, the thing I want to see more than anything is cameras with the ability to record underneath the ice on Titan, Saturn's moon, because it's close enough that, according to the Goldilocks theory, that sunlight going beneath, like through the ice on Titan,
would be warm enough
to, like, there is we can see water beneath the ice. So ideally there could be something swimming around down there, and I just want to have, I think the ability to have a camera there's two things, right? There's two things. Either the camera gets through the ice. The technology behind it's pretty cool. I've read a lot about the technology. They're
developing this currently.
Yeah, there's theories like they're competing in for contracts to send this like probe to Titan. But there's either two outcomes. Either we have something sophisticated enough to detect life underneath the ice of Titan that is living and breathing just like the darkest depths that aren't receiving sunlight on Earth's, oceans, but they still live. There's still an ecosystem down there. Or we get through that ice. We have all of our sensors telling us it's water. Animals living in the Arctic, living at the depths of the ocean on Earth, could survive in this water. There's nothing here. And that will tell us, I think, without a doubt, that we are completely alone. Fermi paradox stuff, right? And both of those are so fascinating and powerful in their revelation of, like, I guess I'll say this. I wouldn't be that. I expect there to be organisms on another planet. But the technology behind this, I think, is pretty sick. Copper on its own creates heat when placed on top of, like, ice. Copper, if you put a penny on top of snow, the friction from copper on ice will melt through actual ice. And the like leading model right now to get through the ice on Titan is to put a copper coated,
put a penny.
Yeah. No, seriously,
it costs us a penny.
It was like that was like a joke, dude. It was like something like that. Like, I can't. It wasn't like it'll cost us a penny, but the joke was like, all we need to get through the surface of Titan is a penny, and like in time, right?
Yeah.
But like that's the idea is like if we put it heavy enough,
put a camera on top of it.
If you put enough weight behind the head, that'll of course speed up its time going through the ice.
Basically a copper drill.
But like at that point, like that's way more efficient than trying to have a drill with a fuel source, reliable solar on something that is going behind Saturn. It's pretty deep.
Yeah.
Craig, look that shit up, dog. I don't have time for that. I can't type on this keyboard right now.
Craig, how deep is it?
Craig will airdrop a link over to that shit. But anyways, I just think that's a pretty cool thing, and I would love to see that because I think that's like the best thing we'll have indicating whether or not we're alone or not. I don't think we'll ever find intelligent life. I'll be honest, not a believer in aliens flying spaceships. I think it's cool.
I want to be.
I want to be too. That's the best way of describing it. I want to be a believer. I'm just not. I believe in like government covered up aircraft programs where they don't want the public to know about aircrafts they're developing. And with that, I think shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. I don't know how many times I have to tell this kid, Pat. Brian, I'm sorry. It's not usual that he just comes in and interrupts us and just dips his head in. Anyways, yes, I'm going to look at it. Okay, Craig. Just all right.
He lives to please.
Titan, Saturn's moon, has a depth of 4,000 miles. Craig, I appreciate it. You can just airdrop it. You don't have to like.
You say 4,000 miles?
4,000 miles. The ice is that thick.
That's going to take a long ass time for that penny to get through there.
I'm sorry, I'm looking over his shoulder, but he included that's 40% of Titan's entire circumference. 40%.
I mean, that makes sense. It's an astral body.
It's
with probably a solid core orbiting a planet at twice the distance of Earth from the moon.
More than that.
I mean, from the sun.
Yeah.
What if it doesn't have a core?
Even with that though, it's crazy. Well, it has a core. Everything has a core. It's just whether it's a hot or cold core.
And there's usually dinosaurs living down in that core.
Journey center of the Earth, my man. Yeah. All that said, I think there might be alien life out there on other planets. Could be bacteria, could be animals. I'm such a staunch believer in the Fermi paradox that we can objectively view with modern day instruments planets that should have life on them, and we have no reasonable like signs of life on any of those planets.
Yeah.
And it's like, why are there so many not Earth, but like celestial bodies that are good for hosting life, but we find no life.
Right. But the thing is, like, this is kind of crazy. I run an online store selling solar equipment or like astronomy equipment. Yeah.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that.
So you kind of stumble across some fun things already and like starting this, but like, the thought though that I get baffled by is, and this is like a big argument among a lot of people, is just the mere size. Like when you start to put into perspective, like even the quantity of stars that are out there. And it is a logical jump to go, there has to be probably there is other life out there. Right. And I get that. Like I can get there as well. But like for like foundationally what I believe, I want to believe it. It's again, I want to believe that, but there's something that goes like, like we're here, something special is here,
I think
that might sound arrogant, but
I think it's so much more powerful that we are alone than we are not.
Yeah.
Like the idea that we're not alone makes more sense when it comes to, I think, rational probability. Yeah. The idea that we're alone makes more sense when it comes down to perhaps intelligent design and purpose.
Right. Because I'd say rational probability says that we shouldn't exist period.
At all.
True.
Yeah.
So that's what I think.
True.
That,
that's a really good point.
Yep. I think a big thing for that too is like, I, as a young man, have always been able to entertain like nihilistic, views of like, not the, I should just kill myself stuff, but like literally we might be simply organisms on a speck of dust floating through a universe.
Yeah. And Carl Sagan type stuff.
I mean, not even just like that, but like, we go back as far back to Nietzsche, God is dead and we've killed him by declaring these truths. Right. And all that said, like, I can entertain them. I don't believe them, but I often do entertain them and like balance them against my own beliefs. I think it's far more powerful and in true opposition to like nihilism to say, if we are alone and there's all these possible habitable planets out there, places where there should be life, given the, lifetime length of the universe, why isn't there? And then if there isn't life there, that probability wise makes us way more significant. Speaking as a data scientist, significance is my bread and butter. And if there is no life out there, we're beyond significant. And that intrinsically just means that there is a higher value to us because of how far out of an average we are, from deviations.
For sure.
And so that I think is like fascinating, like the idea of nihilism, but then when you examine it against like what we observe in the universe, nihilism doesn't really make sense.
What's that? Nihilism?
Nihilism? Hey man, I'm a mixed Western and Midwest accent, Colorado and Michigan accent.
Nihilism.
Nihilism. Nihilism.
Yeah, I think that.
Say it like New Orleans, New Orleans.
Nihilism.
Nihilism.
Yeah, I think it can be a social contagion that gets into our cultures and our societies. And I think like anytime we see anytime we see a country kind of fully embody nihilism via also like typically two things that come along with that is like communism and atheism. Nihilism comes out of those two things.
Yeah.
And then that leaves you purposeless. And then that drives, I think that's where we see like kind of the worst things that have happened. Some of the worst things that happened to humanity come out of nihilism.
Clean your bedroom. Start with your own room.
Yeah.
If you start cleaning your own bedroom, you've already made yourself more of a man than most of the people in this country.
That
was more Irish, I guess.
Is that his Irish cousin?
Yeah.
It's all right. It shifted. That's all right.
Jordan Peterson. It's the Norwegian.
The Norwegian Peterson. And I think that to your point that we are special and we do have purpose and our lives matter. And I was listening to someone talk about like how their kid who's in high school really like kind of like believes that we're in a believes like the simulation stuff, and it's just like it's just so freaking sad.
Is it funny that comment you made, like we're special, will piss some people off? Like that's fascinating to me. Like that's a controversial statement,
right? To declare something that arrogantly.
I'm sorry, I just have to point this out. Brian has a perfect nose. His nose is a perfect triangle.
That's really identifying.
Oh, I mean, Brian, just give Pat your side profile. And Pat, tell me that he doesn't have like almost a perfect 90 at the tip. And then that's a good nose. Look how flat that bridge is.
He's a good looking man.
He's a good looking man.
I don't think you've never broken that thing, have you?
What time is it?
We're trying to get deeper.
Time for you to take your clothes off. All right, so I'm gonna be a hypocrite here, devil's advocate. I did go into the theory that we're a simulation and just really try to read on it and like hear it out. And I think it's really weird when you take all these as you take all these as separate theories and then you view these theories as populations. Like the population is each individual theory is in its own exist. What's the most common denominator, in a sample if you were to examine these theories? All that said, likelihood that we are a simulation is way higher than we're not, especially with modern technology. Like modern technology indicates the likelihood that this is the first time this has happened with how close current simulative like technology is.
Right.
The likelihood that this is the first time this has ever happened in the history of intelligent like thinking actually become smaller and smaller the more technology progresses.
Right.
And so like, it's one of those things where like, again, it's a theory that I can say this. I don't subscribe to it. I don't believe we're in a simulation.
Yeah.
At the same time, I can objectively say the likelihood we are not in a simulation is infinitely smaller than the likelihood this is a simulation.
Yeah.
Right.
And
See,
I can look at both of those
I
and
love
choose
the
I don't
thought pattern
believe
of
it.
that, but as soon as it starts becoming political agenda, that's when I won't be okay.
Politics assigned to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing matters.
Yeah, which is
Life isn't life. Whatever.
And
Right.
part of that, like,
I'm with you, Brian. Gosh, man after my own heart.
to have I see a lot of people take people who ascribe something like the simulation theory, or who say there's like basically alien intelligent life forms that have actually kind of been like overseeing us, like kind of protecting us from ourselves, and like they're the ones who made the pyramids and like passed on technology to us, and like they've kind of kept us from destroying ourselves. There's people who ascribe to that stuff, and there's these sorts of theories out there, and people who talk about them, even like, but then those are the same people who, for some reason, can't get behind and saying like, there's a God that created us, and then we and we have a purpose to live out. And I'm like, your theory is just as outlandish in its own sense as you see mine as outlandish, meaning like, if we're in a simulation, there is a God, and that is the coder, or like if
The programmer.
right? Like if there
just
is
call it a different name.
yeah, if there is
The one who literally types LIFE $sign and then assigns the value to life.
right,
That is literally God.
that's God. And so, or just to be like, and even like with aliens and then overseeing us, and to be like, yeah, man, like ancient, like.
Yeah.
Ancient Egypt, ancient down in South America, we have these like these pyramids, this technology, dude. Like obviously it's from like these like higher powers, higher beings, and you're like I ascribe to a God who loves me, and they're like, you're a damn fool,
Because if there's if it's a simulation, there has to be a simulator.
right?
Well, that's I mean, all that is interesting arguments.
So is God our simulator?
Well, wrong words, but yes.
I know.
Yeah.
It's rhetorical.
If we're in a simulation, that means we are simulacrums of a simulacra.
That's an actual word.
You guys didn't do like media communications in college?
Wow.
So-
You're degree shaming us.
No. I am. But 100%, because it took me so long to understand this, but I think this is super important. I think this might be the most important thing I learned from college.
Oh wow,
I'm listening. I'm leaning in.
I genuinely believe this, guys, because this makes, for me anyways, when I think about this, simulacrum. This makes me actually, when I remember to think about it, it makes me really weigh what I choose to do in my life. The simulacra is the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire, can we all agree right now, existed?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Does it exist today?
No.
The simulacrum is a map of the Roman Empire. Can you find maps of the Roman Empire today?
Yes.
You can find them on your computer, right? Can you find physical copies of them?
Probably.
So what's more real in our reality?
Simulacrum.
The simulacrum.
Mm-hmm.
And so simulacrum is this idea is that the imitation becomes reality, and that what the imitation is reflecting will go away. And it can be pretty complex. It can be pretty intense, but the best analogy is a map, especially maps of territories. Geographical maps change so slowly that a map to become more real than the actual geography is a little bit harder.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But if you think about what is more real today? The recording of Abraham Lincoln's speech at the Washington Monument. What was it? Fourscore and
Gettysburg Address.
The Gettysburg Address. That's what it was. Thank you for correcting me, Pat. The Gettysburg Address, is that more real than Lincoln today?
Yes.
It is. So what will be your simulacrum?
This.
Yeah, this podcast.
Lord Jesus, I hope not. Christ on a bike, please no. As much fun as I have, I hope my children and my children's children and the things I leave for them. But all that said, too, I think like that's one thing. And like the simulacrum thing, when I was in college, I thought was really fascinating. Now working in AI, you know, I've talked on other things. I just got my first text to speech model working, where I gave it samples of a real life person talking, and it is now reading text that I give it in that person's voice.
Mm-hmm.
Run for the hills.
Brian, let's say, follow me on this. It's going to be gross. You're not going to feel good about this. Who's like the family member you're closest to?
The family member?
The family member.
Other than my wife?
Other than your wife. Like the legitimate, like blood related kin that you were closest to.
Probably my dad.
Your dad? Okay.
Yeah.
How old's your dad?
Upper 50s.
Upper 50s?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's imagine the worst thing happens and your father passes away in the next couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
But you have enough recordings where we're able to denoise and focus on his voice, his inflection, his cadence, his syllables. And not only are we able to create a perfect replication of his voice,
We can talk to him.
you can literally use like ChatGPT to talk to him and get responses based off of input that you have from his like data, his
My
life.
gut visceral reaction is like, no.
Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah.
Because it's a simulation. It's it's not real.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you what, Brian, you're going to be dead one day.
Oh,
And that
shocker.
and that simulacrum of your father is going to be more real than your dad ever was to like generations.
Okay, something about this idea is contradictory though to some like what I believe though.
I know it is because we believe the same thing.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
we have to acknowledge that where technology is.
But that's like what we as humanity in our world is what we perceive as real. We can see and touch and feel.
Yeah.
Because spiritually, I mean, the Bible says that like what is unseen is more real.
Yeah.
Is it, and like that, like I think that there's validity and almost more matter to that than there is in this recording.
Sure.
Because it's like I think the spirit of Abraham Lincoln is
More real than the recording of his
the
voice?
recording of his voice.
Sure.
And the creation of him that is alive.
But as you and I experience reality.
Yeah. Yes, my physical experience of reality, yes, it's more real.
Well, when I mean like the argument between like Lincoln's soul and Lincoln's recording.
Yeah.
And Lincoln's pictures.
And his AI person.
Yeah. You experience
him on a t-shirt
you
with
experience-
an AR riding a grizzly
Yeah,
bear.
dude. Oh, fuck yeah, dude. One of my favorite quotes is "Don't believe everything you read on the internet." Abraham Lincoln. And like, I love that quote so much. But like, that's more real than you and I. We've never experienced his soul. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Any
to us,
any
yeah.
part of his soul we've experienced has been through what's recorded about him, the
For sure.
simulacrums. And that's why, like I say, when we observe evidence here in, our perceived reality, it is more likely we're a simulation than not. But you can see that objectively and be like, statistically, yeah.
Yeah, it
It's
goes
also-
back to the space thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's also statistically more likely we shouldn't exist
Yeah.
on this rock floating through space.
And that there should be other life.
And there should be more life out there. All that said, that's just, I love to play that. And then I love to undermine it with, but I don't believe a lick of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
like, I love to get into the nitty gritty of it because I play with those tools every day. And It's
Yeah.
exciting. It's enticing. It's fascinating to me.
You're like a guy that plays with fire that doesn't believe in fire.
No, hold on. Hear me out. It's more like a guy who plays with fire and doesn't believe in it, but believes that we never discovered it in the past.
Yeah.
Like I'm playing with fire. I'm like, this is going to go places. And I could see how it led to whatever. But
yeah, I think this is why
I don't think we ever discovered it before.
Einstein rode around in circles on a bike. Because he was
Did
like,
he?
Yeah, that's like how he would think.
Yeah, that's some serious.
He had to like do something physical to get his mind like kind of like just to almost slow it down enough to focus on something else to come to any conclusions.
Yeah,
I think what might be the reason why it intrigues you so much to
who's you,
Mick?
Okay, thank you.
To create these things is because of the reason why you have this desire to create is because you were created in you. And I think that's kind of the same thing. Like I was talking earlier about the people ascribing to these different thoughts and not wanting to acknowledge maybe a God. And they'll say, oh, they're like, I believe in like the idea of God. Or like, I bet there's something bigger, but not that God you're talking about. But like in your soul, that's what drives you to want to build and create and do these things. I think that's what drives all of us to be creative in our own ways, and that it's an expression of the creator in us and in our outpouring of how we.
That's a good point.
How we exist.
Yeah, I like that a lot, and I think that is like you said, Brian, that is a great point. I think just as the theory of the simulation. We're so close to creating a great, almost perfect simulation. Must mean we're a simulation. Just as we are so enraptured with creating and positioning ourselves to be in a position of authority and deity, like perhaps there is a deity over us.
Well, we are the Imago Dei, the image of God, and so in us is, I think, a desire to create life for our own destruction or our own benefit.
Yeah.
I mean, but we're also in a destructive world with ill intention, and at its core. So, I mean, I think like, it's awesome. I think what's happening, I'm with you though. I get excited about, like, I love looking at the stars, thinking about all the possibilities. And I think to your point about, I think that our desires and interests and things like that, God put in us for a reason, and it put us in this time, for a reason too. But we can't forget about what's foundational, in our, otherwise we lose ourselves to the world. I mean, that's a warning in scripture. But I think there's these tools and things like that, like the internet. I mean, just simply the internet is a great example of how the world has changed and transformed. For the better, also for the worse. It's like everything that we create, that's meant for good. Oftentimes it creates an equally branch of everything that's bad. It's just like human nature.
Yeah, that's our imperfection. And that's why it's good to have a perfect God.
Yeah. And I think like the thing that I try to remind myself the most, because I'm a big news guy. I love reading the news in the morning. I mean, I work from home, right? So like in my morning meetings, when there's like people talking about stuff that has like no relevancy to what I do, I'm just reading the news in the morning. And man, I think the like most common thought I have is like hubris for mankind, and just like we have all of our past failures that we can review, and we failed to do so 99% of the time. How many future failures are there going to be? How many people are going to think they can create that perfect simulation, become a deity to those in the simulation, whatever it may be?
Mormons.
And how many times is it going to fail?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And like, I think like for me, it's just like one of those things, like I find myself thinking about that all the time. Right now, I'm not going to get into it or anything like that, but right now we're like, we are really repeating housing market wise 2008. Very similar, especially with like the bailouts that are being offered to banks that have foreclosed. SVB just foreclosed.
Yeah.
Silicon Valley Bank just got bailed out for doing the same shit that got banks in trouble in 2008. And it's one of those things that I'm just like, if we're not learning from prior history, how many more mistakes that are new mistakes that we're going to make down the line, that we're not going to learn from?
Yeah.
And I kind of just always wait for humanity to make a mistake, I guess. And that itself is about as nihilistic as I get. Full circle. That's about as nihilistic as I get. Like, I believe in a loving God. I believe in a God who has a beautiful plan for us. I believe a God.
But you can expect us to make a mistake.
Yeah, I believe in a God who wants all of us to be in heaven, who wants all of us to be saved. And I also believe in a humankind who is going to make mistakes that are new mistakes that won't be learned from and will be repeated. And so all that said, that's where I'm at. I know, man, dude, this is the most philosophical episode I think we've ever had on the Mick Pat show.
It's been great.
Yeah. It's been good. It's getting late here in the old studio. Did we ever name this place?
No.
The old studio.
We need to come up with some good name for this spot, but
maybe we should ask our other renters what they want to call it.
Yeah. I think that's a great idea.
Well, I did put my gas can in the truck because I was worried about it getting taken from the back of the truck.
Oh yeah.
So, because
you gotta watch out. It should be called the sanctum because it's honestly like we're good in here, but you go out back. It's not so safe.
It's Wild West outside.
I might call it like Skid Row, dude.
Yeah, you might get attacked.
This is the most Skid Row of anywhere near where we live.
You might get attacked by like a methed out goose.
Yeah.
So yeah,
like driving here is always entertainment as long as there's light. When it's dark out, you can't see as much. But like driving here during daylight savings or whatever, you just see people like
up to
I've never seen more
activities.
tense in my life.
Yeah. It's crazy, dog.
It gets a little nefarious out there. Right on. Well, hey, everybody out there. Thanks for joining in a conversation with us. We always have fun doing it. We hope you're having fun too. This has been another episode of the Mick and Pat Show. And till next time. Thanks for tuning in. If you love this episode, drop us a review. If you have qualms or comments, leave us a voicemail on our website. While you're there, check out our latest news, merch, and deals from our sponsors. Till next time, Ken.